Hello students. In this video, we'll learn about Unit 5, Green Skills of Class 11. So what exactly are green skills? Green is something that's related to nature, and skills are the kind of skills that we need to try and make our surroundings much greener. So the very first word or the definition that we need to learn here is green economy. What is green economy? Green economy is when your country as a whole thinks about promoting and protecting the environment. So a green economy is one which promotes development while making sure that the environment is protected. As we know that countries all around the globe, they are all growing, a lot of construction is happening all around, a lot of development in all the sectors, whether it is agriculture, forest, tourism, it's happening. So is important is, apart from this growth or development, we need to also take care of making sure that our environment is also protected throughout. So the term green economy was firstly brought in 1989 uh, by the government of UK, and they bought this. Uh, this was bought in by a group of leading environmentalists, economists, who titled it as Blueprint for a Green Economy. So they did come up with a report that said what all things need to be taken care to make sure that the environment is also protected with development. So there are various sectors in each economy. So what exactly is a sector? A sector can be described as a part of or function of the economy. Now there are various sectors, that is various segments, areas, departments in which development is important for an economy to grow. But along with that, what is important is that we work for the development of these sectors as well. So first one is agriculture, second is automotive, construction, transportation, and healthcare. There are they are all different sectors of an economy. Now, what is ecosystem? This term, you must have come across this term a number of times. So, what exactly is ecosystem? It is the organisms in a particular area that help that area to interact with the organism. Like you stay in at a particular place, the air around it, the soil, the water, they're all part of your ecosystem. So all the living organisms in a particular area and the non-living environment with which the organisms interact. So I, being a living organism, but I live wherein I have non-living organisms, or sorry, non-living environment around me. And this environment consists of air, water, soil, minerals, sunlight. They're all part of my ecosystem. Without them, I cannot survive. Then is food chain. What is the food chain? Again, a term that you must have come across a number of times. So it is a chain, a cycle of nature that takes care that the green plants are eaten by herbivores, that is the plant-eating animals. Then these animals are eaten up by the flesh-eating animals, that are the carnivores. And then finally, the dead parts of these animals are decomposed in the soil, which in turn helps you feed the plants. So it is a cycle that is, it stays on and on and on in nature. And without the food chain, we will not be able to survive. Imagine that you have rats and rats all around and there are no snakes. So then what would happen? The population of rats is going to go up, and then it's going to create a lot of problems. So the food chain is also created by the nature to take care of the environment as well, to also keep a check on the population of a particular species. Then is sustainable development. Sustainable means that when you are thinking about the future generations, indirectly thinking about the future generations. Why? Because you are taking care of the environment at this point in time. And when you act reasonably and sensibly at the current situation, you will be able to save more and more things for the future generations. Like, for example, water. As we know, water, there is small amount of fresh water that is there on earth. And if we keep on consuming it without calculating the amount of consumption, without thinking about the future generations, soon the fresh water is going to vanish. And then what would happen? We would get into trouble. So, sustainable means what is good for the economy as well as for the future of the environment. So, we have to think about whether it is water, whether it is soil, whatever we are consuming right now, we have to also think about the future, that the future generations are also able to utilize it and no harm happens to the environment as well. Now, there are various sectors we discussed. I did mention the names of these sectors. There are a few more. So they are agriculture, energy resources, construction, fisheries, forestry, tourism, transport, water management, waste management, manufacturing industry. Let us go through each one of this sector and try and understand what they can do or what can be done in this particular sector to improvise it. So first one is agriculture. What is agriculture? Agriculture is growing of crops for our food. And it is considered as the largest part of our economy, that is of our country, and the most important because it provides food. So agriculture is a sector which not only satisfies the need of food in our country, but they also export grains to the outer countries as well. So agriculture may harm the environment by one, overusing land resources, two, cutting down of forests, and three, polluting air, water, and land by using harmful chemical fertilizers and pesticides. So anything that's done or overly used, if you use the soil at a larger extent, then what would happen? It is going to slowly and slowly make the soil infertile. In the same manner, if you plan to cut down the forest to make it a agricultural land again, it is not going to be, it is going to later on create a disbalance in the environment. So it is important that we try and understand the importance of each sector, each part, and then accordingly act. Then next is polluting air and water, because obviously as well as land, because agar hum zyada, if we are using more and more of fertilizers and pesticides, then it is not going to help us in the long run. It is going to spoil the fertility of the soil as well as it is going to spoil the soil as well. Then what we can do to avoid these problems? One is to support local, organic, and natural farming. Natural farming, farming without the use of harmful pesticides and fertilizers. See, these harmful pesticides and fertilizers are not even good for us. Now, farmers use them many a times. They use a lot of it on their crop so that the crop doesn't get damaged, as in it is not spoiled by the pest. But what happens if we consume, it is going to lead to diseases in us as well. So it is important that, we should support local farmers, organic farming, as well as natural farming. Next is grow our own vegetables. If that is a possibility, we should also try and, have a small kitchen garden. And third is eat in season and locally produced food. So whatever is in season, that is fresh and good for you to consume. Then having things which are not there in the season. Next is energy resources. Now, as we know, these energy resources are very limited, and if we overconsume them, then slowly and slowly it will all get damaged, used a lot, and then it is not going to again help us in future. So we use energy for all our daily functions, but our demand is increasing day by day. The common energy sources, that is oil, coal, gas, etc., are harmful to health and environment. They're not good for us as well as for the environment at large. They are also limited and non-renewable. As in, it takes years and years for the coal to be renewed. So we need to be very cautious about using these energy resources. Now, what we can do, we can select clean and renewable energy sources like sun. The solar energy is free for us. Yes, we'll have to install solar panels and maintain them, undoubtedly, but it is free because we do not have to pay any charges to anybody for consumption of this energy. So we should go for that. Then is avoid wasting electricity. That is, when you're not using electricity, please make sure that you turn off the lights, unplug the appliances, switch off the fan or the air conditioner in that case. Avoid cars and use cycles or public transport. Here, I would like to say that do read about Switzerland, because there was a time when pollution, you know, it started rising up in this particular area, and how people, they moved from cars to cycles, and now they take it as a conscious effort of pedaling down and using less of vehicles. So it's important that we follow that kind of a system if that is a possibility. Construction now, because the countries are developing, then construction of buildings, houses, it grows at a very large scale. So construction and building affect global resources and climate. So because a lot of digging happens, a lot of construction happens, and yes, that leads to pollution. Use of sand and stones causes destruction of riverbeds and quarrying in mountains. These activities they do cause landslides, earthquakes, and destruction due to flooding. So we have to be very careful and wisely select on the amount of resources that we are using for construction. Construction activities also cause air pollution and breathing problems. Incorrectly designed buildings need more air conditioning and electric lights, and they also waste more water and use more energy overall. So it's important that the building should be designed such that it doesn't use too much of energy around. That is, it is using the natural energy more and not the artificial energy. Now, what can we do? Energy efficient or green buildings, they save electricity and water and use clean energy like solar and wind energy. Apart from that, people these days, apart from placing solar panels in their house, they also are looking for things like rainwater harvesting, wherein they try to store rainwater, and then this particular water can be used for maybe watering the plants, or maybe it can be used for cleaning the house and stuff like that. We need to use cleaner energy in our buildings and avoid wastage of energy. Two, we should talk to people about the advantages of using local construction materials. And three, if a large scale construction project is causing pollution, we should inform the local authorities about them. It is, you have to act as a very smart citizen, and you should take care that your environment is not getting affected because of these activities. Next is fisheries. Fisheries is another industry, another sector, which is a huge sector in our country, because if you see India, almost, the on the world map, you would find that uh, the bottom half of the country is, surrounded by water. So, and that water has, the fishes live in water, and this is a huge industry. So, overfishing has led to the depletion of future fish supplies. So, if a lot of, overfishing is done, then obviously there are no new fish there in the sea or the ocean. So we have to take care that we do not overfish. Two, some species of sharks, turtles, and fish are becoming extinct. This will surely disturb the ecological balance and food chain in our ecosystem. Now, we have to be very careful that we do not, over hunt a particular animal or a species, because the moment we do that, what happens? They start becoming extinct. This will also cause more dependence on other forms of food, causing more pressure on agriculture sectors. Again, all this is going to, lead to pressure on another sector, that is the agriculture sector. Fishermen may lose their livelihood because this is a huge industry. And if we overfish, then what is going to happen? Overfishing is going to lead to lose of livelihood for the fishermen as well. So what exactly can we do in this particular sector? We can avoid the problems of overfishing by telling people about sustainable fishing practices, which control fishing and also provide enough food for fish to breed and multiply. You have to give them time to multiply. If they are not multiplying and if you're using them, you're killing them at large, it is going to lead to a lot of problem. It is going to affect the ecological balance. If you eat fish, buy only those which are plentiful available and also in season. So you should not buy a particular breed when of a fish when it is the breeding season of that fish. If you try and buy that, what happens is with the fish, the eggs are also killed. So you have to take care of this as well. That is, the next sector is forestry. Forests are important for rainfall and also to protect our land resources. So there are many tribes in our country also that survive on forest products. So if we are cutting down a lot of forests and we are cutting down a lot of trees, what happens again? It is going to affect the climate. It is going to lead to pollution. It is going to lead to landslides. It is going to lead to earthquakes as well. So deforestation or loss of forest, it leads to climate change, soil erosion, loss of wildlife and damage to food chain and ecosystems, and also less tree coverage, which would result in less of rainfall, less of oxygen, and more of pollution. So it's time we need to act on this because of a lot of construction, because of a lot of deforestation. What is happening is we have less of oxygen there, and that's why you find it's not just in our country but all around the globe. Most of the places you will find that they are polluted. Then is forestry. What can we do about it? Sustainably managed forests can continue to support communities and ecosystems without damaging the environment and climate. See, if we think that we are humans and we have the right to do whatever we want to, then there would be a day when there would be no animals around. And when you do not have animals around, it is going to create a disbalance in the ecosystem. So you do not have to cut down too much of forest. Now we need to think smartly and try and utilize the area that's there with us. Reduce, reuse, and recycle paper so that fewer trees are cut. There are many industries who are recycling paper. So try to use recycled paper. I know that it is little expensive than the regular paper, but what you are going to help in is that you are going to help particular system, that is reuse. You're making sure that people are reusing and recycling the paper. Avoid buying products such as ivory. Why? Because ivory is made from an elephant tusk. So the elephant is killed to fetch the tusk. And so we need to avoid using ivory items because the moment we stop buying them, the animal killing would also stop. Buy only those products which are collected safely, such as honey, which is collected without breaking the beehives. The government, Indian government is, they're teaching farmers how they can cultivate bee and how they can fetch honey. And now India is also exporting huge amount of honey. So this is happening only because honey cultivation doesn't involve too much amount of investment. The farmers are trained to do that, and they're with a small area they're able to earn good. So again, that is also a possibility. Without killing the bee, you are getting the product. Tourism. As the economy grows, as the country grows, the tourism also grows. And tourism would also grow to help your economy grow. So tourism can be great for local economies, but not if it harms the environment. So you have to take care that when you are, trying to convert your country or your place into a tourist place, it should encourage people to visit your country, but should also take care of not harming the environment there. So while traveling, travel in groups, limit water and energy use, and avoid wastage. So there are many places wherein when you go, very clearly they're written, do not litter. So we should follow that rule of not littering. Rather, we should use the dustbin. In the same manner, when you go outside to have food in a restaurant, try and have only the amount of food or the amount of food that you want to consume. Do not waste food. In the same manner, when you even want to have water, and when you're pouring it in a glass, put the amount of water you need. Do not waste water. There are hotels and travel companies which support ecotourism. What is ecotourism? It is a tourism that protects the environment. So what you can do is you can try and find out more about them, and you can educate people around you about how to travel without harming the environment. So you can use your own bottle. So places could have proper drinking water coolers and facilitate people to fill their bottles from there. So what you're helping is that otherwise people are going to buy a lot of bottles and they're going to throw it away, and they're all single use plastic bottles. So if you encourage people to get their own bottles, fill it up and use it again and again and again, you're helping the environment. Then is transport. A country's economy grows when the public transport in that country is good, very comfortable, and convenient for the people. Now, if the transport system is very convenient, there is lesser use of petrol as well as diesel, because these are the things that cause pollution. So the transport sector of a green economy, it aims at one, using cleaner fuels like electricity for vehicles. Two, providing public transport. I should say providing good public transport, promoting cycling, etc., to discourage use of cars. So there has to be proper lane for cyclists so that they feel very comfortable pedaling. Now, what can we do about it? One, we should use public transport at large. So I should say buses and metro trains. Then would be walk or cycle when possible. And thirdly, use electric vehicles if possible. Next sector is water management. So I did mention about rainwater harvesting. It's very important that we educate people about this particular area as well, because water is one of the most important resources. And imagine if there is no water around, what would happen? All of us, we are all dependent on water, not just humans, all living beings, I should say. Animals are also dependent on water. We even use water apart from drinking, apart from cooking. We also use it for washing hands, for sanitation. And if we do not have water, we will be actually in deep trouble. So what can we do about it? Use water wisely. As I did say, when you're having water, fill the glass the amount of water that your body needs. Do not fill the glass entirely and then just take 2 sips of water from the glass and throw the rest in, and drain the rest of the water. Don't do such things. Turn off the tap when you are not using it. Get leaking taps and pipes fixed immediately because they are also going to lead to wastage of water. Don't let polluted water flow back to the land or water source before it gets a waste water treatment. So, until unless you get the polluted water treated, do not flow back that water into the land or into water bodies. Then is waste management. It is important that the industrial waste, the house waste be managed properly. Otherwise, it is going to lead to huge garbage dumps untreated. So throwing something away means losing the chance to reuse materials, and it can lead to land, air, and water pollution. Now, what can we do about it? Try to reduce throwing away things, try and reusing the product, and also recycle it before throwing it away. I always say this to my students that India is a country wherein we've been watching this and we've been following this reduce, reuse, recycle concept. It is the Western countries at large who are not following this concept. In our country, if we buy a garment, we try and give it away to our cousins, somebody in our family, if not to our maids, and then this particular product is reused. We try to recycle products as well. Like, for example, if I have a denim jeans, I try to get a bag done if I don't want to wear it anymore. So I'm recycling that product as well. And we should reduce the overbuying habits that we have. So for this, I would say that we should follow Japanese culture of minimalism and not buying too many things and stocking it in your closet. Separate the waste substances so that some products can be recycled and food waste can be composted. So as far as the food waste is concerned, it can be used to prepare a compost. So not cooked food, but uncooked foods, fruit and vegetables, they can be used for preparing a compost. Then is the manufacturing industry. Industries help in employment and economic development, but they harm the environment. Industries should use methods to avoid and reduce pollution and use clean source of energy. Now, what can we use? What can we do in this particular case? One is industries make items according to what customers prefer to buy and not just develop anything that they feel will hit the market and people would buy it. If you buy green or environment friendly products, that is lesser of plastic, or maybe clothes that are not chemical dyed, then more industries will start making such products. But because we're buying plastics, so there are many industries who are developing plastics because we are not giving much importance to natural dyes. And so there are many, I would say most of the brands who use chemical dyes, which are not good for the environment. So this was one portion of this chapter, Unit 5, Green Skills for Class 11. You will find another set of sections also. So this is part A. You'll find more videos. Please do check the playlist on my channel. And in case you liked this particular video, do strike a like button. Thanks for watching.